Dear book lovers, welcome back to Audiobook Nest. Today, we continue discussing this book, A Passion for Success, by Kazuo Inamori. Yesterday, we talked about how many people are forced to join a company they don't particularly like and engage in work they don't enjoy. This seems very unfortunate, but the author believes it is actually very fortunate because you are forced to work hard, and in the process, you will gain new skills and improve your mindset. The author says that without goals, without working, indulging in leisure activities every day will not only prevent you from growing but will also cause you to lose the good things in your humanity. Over time, you will lose the meaning of life and be more likely to go astray. So, we see that those born into wealth, those who win the lottery, or those who suddenly become rich at a young age, none of them have good outcomes. Actually, the happiest moments in a person's life are when they are creating value, and this value can only be achieved through their work. Otherwise, no matter how much money your father gives you, you won't truly feel the happiness of being respected. Even if you have many friends, others may not truly respect you, but just see you as a wealthy fool to be exploited. Several decades ago, when Kyocera went public, the author already had a lifetime of wealth, and he was not even 40 years old at that time. He could have considered retirement then, but he made a more significant decision. He didn't sell a single share of his original stock, and he decided to work even harder. It is evident that at this point, the author must have felt that the satisfaction of pursuing success far outweighed the stimulation of wealth. Unfortunately, this sentiment can only be understood when you have immense wealth. The poor cannot feel it. This is also why we see so many billionaires continue to work until their dying day. They are not just making money, they are seeking satisfaction. Life's troubles are said to number as many as 108, and among them, desire, anger, and ignorance are all forms of cowardice, the chief culprits that lead people into trouble, referred to by Buddhists as the three poisons. However, life cannot do without these three things. If you truly have no desires or emotions, then you would probably become a zombie or a vegetable. So, we should try to dilute the three poisons rather than completely eradicate them. And the way to dilute the three poisons is to wholeheartedly immerse oneself in work. Many people say, don't talk about things you don't understand, and some jobs can indeed be very frustrating. We often say that the more work there is, the less pay, the farther from home, the lower the position, the lighter the authority, and the heavier the responsibility. For many people, going to work every day feels heavier than going to a funeral. So how can one change their mindset? The author says he has had such experiences too. He had no interest in research work, and it wasn't his major in college. When he went to work at that small rundown factory, he did so out of necessity. The reason he was able to research new materials wasn't because the company valued him, but because no one else wanted to do it. At that time, everyone thought that improvement was the key, and new materials were impossible to succeed. So, it was only because it was impossible that he was given the task. No money, no equipment, no experience, no guidance, a task that was fundamentally impossible to complete. What would you do? Faced with so many difficulties, can you find genuine passion within yourself? At first, the author was also fed up, but he had no choice. Unable to change the environment, he could only start by changing himself, making his mindset a little calmer. He couldn't bring himself to like the job, but he tried not to hate it so much. He cleared out the negative emotions first. Although he didn't like going to work, he didn't make it feel like going to a funeral. Pushed to this extent, he could only go to the library to read extensively, hoping to find some shortcuts. At that time, there were no photocopiers, so he had to transcribe materials by hand, and many books were only available in their original language, so he had to use a dictionary, painstakingly making progress bit by bit. After months of effort, he suddenly found that it was quite interesting. At this point, he had already put work aside and focused wholeheartedly on his research and experiments. In the end, after his research made a breakthrough and received unanimous praise, he became even more elated, further experiencing the significant meaning of this work. He then began to develop a fascination with his work, likening it to falling in love. Even though you could take a direct ride home, you'd willingly get off 2 stops early to walk home with your loved one. In essence, it's the power of love. If left to do it alone, you would definitely complain endlessly, but when accompanied by someone you love, the work doesn't feel tiring anymore. However, some people argue that the probability of encountering a job you love is probably less than 1 in 1,000, and most people's jobs have nothing to do with their hobbies. So, what can be done about this? You can only start from not liking it and find joy in your work. The author suggests that instead of searching for something you love, it's easier to start by loving the work you already have. Here's a tip from me: if you find your work uninteresting, grab 50 books related to your industry and force yourself to read them, even if it's tough. This process might be painful, but it will probably only last about a year. Then you'll realize that you understand most things in the industry. When talking to others, you'll suddenly feel respected, and even your leaders' attitudes toward you will change. At that point, you'll start to feel differently. You'll find the work easier, gain respect, and develop interest. So, how can you inject vitality into your work next? What other experiences does the author have to share with us? Let's continue tomorrow. If you like Audiobook Nest, please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss my updates.